So hi, my name is Arjen Buck and I'm the lead designer on Killzone Shadow Fall Intercept.
So let's start by talking about what your goals were heading into this.
Okay, so for Intercept we wanted to create a co-op mode that was all about teamwork. So we looked at so how can we best achieve this, and we want to create a mode that you can play with up to 4 players. So it can be by yourself or with one friend, but also with 4 others. And we created a class system where each player has a specific role to fulfill in the battlefield. So each player has his own job when playing together.
Can you walk through the classes?
Yeah, of course. So we have, for example, the Assault, the Marksman, the Medic, and the Tactician. Now, those by itself probably sound familiar, as there's a lot of shooters that it's going to have that familiar sort of class system. But what we did was look at what makes these guys unique. And an example there is the Assault is the main fighting force. He has a very powerful shotgun and he's kind of always in the front fighting off the enemies. But then on the flip side we have the Tactician, and which is my personal favorite. He has 3 really powerful turrets and he plays more of a game of first-person tower defense, where he has to constantly look where the best places are to put his turrets down. And then once those 2 guys get together, they kind of complement each other, and you get a dynamic going. So it's really about working together and relying on your buddy.
Can you talk a little about the maps and environments you're showing here?
Yeah, so we have 4 maps that we're showing here, and we'll have those 4 maps when we launch in summer. And we'll have 6 additional maps available post-launch, so we'll be bringing patches and additional content after that.
Can you walk us through the 4 maps?
Yeah, so we have the DMC, which is set between the 2 walls of the 2 factions that are separated. And we have the Forest, or the Outpost, which is kind of a familiar one from the campaign. It's actually set in that beautiful forest environment, but we brought some classic Killzone thunderstorms to that, and so we kind of changed up the thematic of that. Then we have a level that is set, it's called the Market. It's set behind enemy lines, and you're kind of in the urban Helgest environment. And finally, we have a level set on Helgen, which is the original planet of the Helgest. It's now been fully destroyed, so we have a level there as well.
What has PS4 opened up for you guys when it comes to developing this multiplayer?
So definitely for Intercept, I think the biggest difference there is that we did a launch title with Shadow Fall, which is a lot of fun, but it's really challenging. It's like kind of building driving a race car while the race car is being built around you. It's like you have to make choices. So we went for a solid campaign, for a competitive multiplayer, because that's what you just got to have as a shooter. But we always had like this idea if we want to do a co-op, and me personally, I'm a big fan of co-op games, so I was really glad to be able to do this. I think the big difference now is that we had that engine ready and developed, and we could just sort of build on that. So I think the biggest thing where you see it is that we created this new system called the AI Director, and he basically keeps track of what players are doing and picks the best strategies based on how they're performing. So he has a wide range of enemies that he can select and send out with strategies, and he's doing that on the fly and coming up with these situations.
What do you feel in next-gen co-op? What defines that for you, having done games in the past on current gen?
Well, I think the co-op, at least for me, is all about that cooperative experience and playing together. So for me, the focus was on teamwork and nailing the teamwork. I don't think it's something but it is something that we've seen in the past before, and there's some great games on that out there. But I think just the next gen brings it just a little a level higher in terms of the amount of AI that you can create. Things like the AI Director, but also just the maps. They're wide open. You all have the sort of graphical fidelity.
For co-op, are you guys adding anything for fans who've played the previous games, whether it's through story or Easter eggs or anything like that will progress the story in the world?
Well, not so much in terms of the story. We do have a narrative around it. So in this co-op mode, you're playing as the VSA soldiers that you meet in the campaign. So at some point in the campaign, Shadow Marshal Lucas Kellen is assisted by these 4 guys that hand over the intel, and now you're actually playing the game sort of from their perspective. But the biggest thing that we're adding for fans of the franchise and also the previous franchises, is we recently released new weapons from the classic Killzone universe to Shadowfall for the multiplayer, and we're also bringing that to the co-op mode. So in the co-op mode, you'll be able to play with the M82, the STA-14, which are cool classic guns that we brought back. And another big thing that we're bringing back is the jetpack. So all players will be able to jump around in that classic cool jetpack from Killzone 3, so we brought that back as well.
And bringing back those classic guns and weapons, how have you upgraded them for next gen?
So they've all gotten the same sort of treatment that we've done for Shadowfall. So we've redone all the models, we've polished up all the textures, and got our new shader model on there, and the lighting models. So it's really just more of those systems. Another cool thing, which is something that people maybe not necessarily notice right away, but which is we have a very intelligent sound system that scans the environment and changes the sound based on what's around the player. So if you're standing next to a tree, it's going to sound really different than standing next to a rock. And personally for me, that's really sort of where you go like, yeah, that's next gen. But it's not something that you notice immediately, but as soon as you start noticing, you're like, wow, there's so much going on there.